Shalom. This week's Parsha is Parshas Vayigash. Most people reading this have experienced unemployment or the fear of unemployment in their lifetime. Not being able to provide for yourself and your family is a scary prospect. Thankfully, in our times, it is rare for someone from the developed world to experience famine and the fear of starvation. Yet, that terror is very real for people, and this week's Torah portion addresses it and instructs us how to handle this fear in our times. This week's Sedra taught, and I'm going to read to you from a pasuk. Yosef settled his father and his brothers, giving them holdings in the choicest parts of the land of Egypt, in the region of Ramses, as Paro had commanded. Yosef sustained his father, his brothers, and all his father's household with bread. There was no bread in all the world, though, for the famine was very severe. Both the land of Egypt and the land of Canaan languished because of the famine. We find a debate among our scholars about what the phrase, both the land of Egypt and the land of Canaan languished because of the famine means. The scholars debate the meaning of the phrase that the Egyptians languished. Rashi wrote that it meant to be wearied, like one that's fatigued. The Ibn Ezra wrote that it meant that they acted as people who didn't know what to do. The Radak wrote that it's a word describing mental disturbance. They were meshuga. To understand the traumatic effect of the famine, let's turn to the words of Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah in Pirkei Avos. He used to say, where there is no food, there is no Torah. And where there is no Torah, there is no food. Rabbi Yonah explained Rabbi Elazar's teaching. He said, and he wrote the following, without sustenance, a person will not be able to study Torah. Therefore, a person must earn a livelihood. This is a seemingly obvious lesson. Yet, Rabbi Yonah took it a step further, having written that although one can't achieve scholarship without sustenance, at the same time the only benefit of substance, and therefore making a living, is in order to study Torah. A person can become easily distracted if they begin getting caught up in their livelihood. They begin mixing up the primary value with the secondary necessities, only there to ensure that they succeed in their primary endeavor, developing a relationship with God. A person must always be careful to pay sufficient attention to their job so that they have sufficient means to support their meaningful goals, while not allowing themselves to get too distracted by it. The Rambam wrote the following: a person should direct his heart and the totality of his behavior to one goal, becoming aware of God. The way a person rests, the way they wake up, the way they speak should all be directed to that one end. For example, when involved in business dealings or working for a wage, he should not think solely of gathering money. Rather, he should do these things so that he will be able to obtain that which the body needs: food, drink, a home, and a wife. But it's really all about the Torah. Losing a livelihood scares us because we fear the effects of starvation and not being able to provide for our families. Yet what should really terrify us isn't the immediate effects of poverty and unemployment, but the inability to achieve what a livelihood allows us to accomplish. Our entire relationship with God suffers because we are unable to study Torah and pray properly when we don't have the means to do so. And that should be our real fear and the real motivation for making a livelihood, for having food and sustenance. Shabbat Shalom.